Presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 when you use the promo code. Welcome to Light Years. Andy Lou, no need for a trade. Warriors are good as they are. Big win against the Orlando Magic. Look, I'm not going to even pretend we're going to talk deep on this game tonight. Everyone knows the deal. This is a big week for the Warriors. The energy is different around the Warriors the last 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the season, we're gonna find out if the season matters by Thursday. You know what I'm saying? So big win tonight. Felt cool. A couple things I want to talk about in tonight's game, but I think the big thing, everyone listening to this is, man, 72. Well, let's see. Let me do the math in my head. All right, recording this at 9:38 Monday night. All right, 24, 48, 60. About 64 hours until we find out if the Warriors are back or I don't even go there.
This is the biggest 64 hours, I think, for the Warriors in the last since 2022, since Game 6 of 2022. I mean, this is the biggest 64 hours, and we're gonna find out a lot about this team. Sam, I don't know if we want to get into it right now. Did you want to go right into it, or do you want to touch on the game for a couple minutes?
Let's touch on the game a little bit. Like, win's a win.
Okay.
One of the ugliest first halves of the season, which is saying a lot because they've had a fucking lot of them. Then you know what? The thing I will say about this team, they're not talented. They are a 500 team just based on the talent on the roster. But God damn it, do they at least try hard, and are they at least a bought-in team? You know, like I don't want to give participation trophies, but if this is the last game we see of some of these guys, you know, GP2, I'm always going to soft spot for him. Like, Wiggins is playing his ass off. Looney, I will be heartbroken if Looney's traded. I will understand it because I understand how the cap works in reality, but like, I'll be sad if Looney's gone.
I think
it goes for like a lot of guys on this team.
Yeah. I think that's the one where you watch a game like this tonight. I know GP2 wasn't like the great guy tonight, but to your point, the other two guys that are likely to be traded, Looney with the big putback and all these offensive rebounds, that Draymond Looney 4-5 really just still works, especially against like these mediocre-ish teams, right? It just still works. Gonna miss him if he's gone, right?
And it's crazy it works because I feel like it's like the last it's like the last of that type of front court that works in the NBA. Like, it doesn't work anywhere else.
I don't think it can. I know it barely works on the Warriors, but it does tonight, where it's just I think, I don't know, it was kind of a throwback like effort the last 4 minutes. It was nice. Some timely threes, right? Moody made one, and then they made some big stops. For me, I think the game to me, like, it's just, to me, it's Draymond. I know how many times have we done shows the last 10 years, and I always say it. Like, I know I hate on Draymond all the time. Everybody does, because it's very easy to do so. We'll talk about Kevin Durant on the Warriors soon, and Draymond's part in the role. But like, you watch tonight, it's just like the guy is still really damn good defensively, dude. Really, really damn good. And you can't just throw that away and say like, all right, well, Looney's gonna play that role, or like Kuminga's gonna play that role, or something. Like, they're not. The guy just shut down Paolo Banchero in the clutch. No, nobody. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. The guy's an elite defender. He's still got enough defensively.
It's also not just an elite defender, because like Herb Jones is an elite defender. It's like the presence of mind to understand what his team needs and the ability to shut it off in like 4 different ways. He gets the offense going, although I don't know, no one can really get the offense going. So maybe I shouldn't give him credit for that one. Yeah, I mean, he's still one of one in many ways. He's still
really is.
He's getting older. I don't know if he can play more than 55 regular season games a year, 60 or so. You know, he just missed what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right there, something in that range. And I think that's the reality of it. Like, that he's trying not to play center, so he has more legs to play more this year. But talent's talent, man. You know, our overarching critique of this roster is like, nice guys, play hard, do a bunch of stuff. They just don't have enough talent. he has talent. It might not be scoring talent, but he has talent.
Yeah, they also have been playing really hard. I mean, I know it's unwatchable basketball, but I don't know. It just Schroeder's played better now. Podziemski came back. He's playing better. Moody hit like that big Clay type three in the corner, right? Where it's like Steph's doubled, 4-on-3. Clay's open.
Moody's the one.
Moody,
to me,
right?
Moody's the one where I'm like, keep him out of a trade because if they get a playmaker,
oh boy,
does he not profile as like the fourth or fifth starter? Like he's not a star, but like you got a couple playmakers, you got a couple guys, and he's in like a Danny Green type of role. And then next thing you know, everyone loves him.
Well, imagine him next to Jimmy Butler, right? That's what you're saying.
Sure.
Like Steph, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green,
or KD,
or
Zion
to it, yeah,
or like
right.
Look, man, there's a lot of options here,
And no cap, my guy in the comments, Moody is better than JK. I don't know about that. Maybe not. But like in that situation, in those lineups, I think so. Yeah. Like he plays really hard. He makes shots. And Steve Kerr's got him at the 4. I thought him and Draymond were like the keys to the games. But like back to what you're saying, though, it's like these are the type of games where we might never see Kevon Looney again. I saw GP2. I saw his dad in the stands, and you're just watching. You're like, GP2's playing his heart out. It's like, man, these might be the last couple games. This is kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's kind of like this is like the end. I think we say this, and then Thursday comes around, Sam, and nothing happens. But I think
it's conflicted because it's like I have no animus towards any of them. It's not like I'm like, get this motherfucker out of here, like type of deal. But at the same time, it's like they need talent. They need a difference maker, if not multiple. They need to remake the roster. And, the cap is what it is. It's not, it's not the Premier League. It's not like international soccer where it's, there's no cap and you can spend the way you want to. They're not the Dodgers, like they can't do some of these things. So it's like, it's just a necessary ingredient, but yeah, I don't know, man. It is what it is. All right. Can we get to the news of the day? I want to kind of talk about this. To me, did today feel, I don't want to say gratifying, because what actually feels gratifying is them winning games.
If they make a fucking trade, yeah.
And me buying into it. But like the amount of media stories that have come out in the last 24 hours about their effort, I have not heard this at any point in the last, let's call it 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with me? Do you think I've heard they try. I have not heard a level of desperation that we've heard today. I mean, you got like, I'm just going to pull up a couple of them right now. You got Shams on ESPN here, not even mincing words.
We have about a minute here. Are they going to end up making any moves? Somebody just reported on the internet, who knows what's real, what isn't at this point, that they're maybe looking in LeBron. This has been a story that's happened like 4 or 5 different times. Are the Warriors?
The Warriors are legitimately calling about every all-star player. You just name the all-star player. The Warriors have probably called it. And Paul George, they have called it. They made calls on every star. And that, of course, includes players like LeBron, players like Kevin Durant, players like Jimmy Butler. They are making calls. They are dead set on trying to find another star player, superstar player with Stephen Curry. That is another subplot.
I mean, pretty blunt. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I also want to pull this one up here. Slater, our guy, talking about their surveying. Yeah, they're canvassing, and yes, they're desperate. And like every statement is essentially a variation of this, right? Have you heard the Warriors talked about in this way?
No, and I'm glad you put these two up because these are the two guys that are the most plugged in. Shams nationally, and Slater with the team, the local team. He talks to those two guys, the picture that we're showing of Kerr and Dunleavy the most. So if he's coming out here and he's saying they're desperate, like I take that word as gospel. Like that is true. That's something we have not heard, because what have we seen? Actions always speak louder than words, right? And what we've seen is always, hey man, we don't have to make a move right now. And if we don't make a move, we'll just go into the offseason, or we'll go into the trade deadline. Like they've done it. They said it, and then they've done it until now. And Sam, it feels like a direct response to what happened over the weekend with Luka. I think
I
that's
know
what
we
happened.
get the question in the chat going,
Yep.
what's made Lacob desperate? And
I think that's it. I think that's it. Which is, I think we can sit here and argue whether that's the right process or not. I don't care. What has happened has happened. The Warriors should have done this years ago. You and I agree with that. Everybody agrees with that. But they're here now. Is the level of desperation? I think the next question, like, is that good? Probably not. Like, teams can tell. They're probably trying to squeeze every little thing out of the Warriors. But it's funny, it's not like the Warriors have that much. So it's like, hey, like, it's not like we got 8 picks. It's not like we got 8 first-round picks. Like, at some point, it's like, this is all we got. You either get it or you don't. Kevin Durant's either coming or he doesn't, right? So, but it does feel like a direct, like, Joe Lacob sitting there and saying, we spent 3 years sitting here. The Lakers got a phone call and got Luka Doncic. We got to do something. Like, that's what it feels like to me.
Kirk, you sat here with your dick in your hand telling me that we had this great plan and they got the Luka. What? You know, that's what that's like, I mean, I'm joking, but that's like what I'm imagining happened with the Warriors. It does feel like they thought they were the smartest guy in the room. They've spent the entire time trying to play it too cool.
Yep.
Oh, we'll see. We like what we have. We want to develop this roster. We're not desperate. We like our guys. We believe in our future. We can't trade Kuminga. He could be the future face of this team. All this sort of stuff. And I never really bought any of it. I just thought they could leverage something to get a good deal. Like, I did buy that they didn't want to be desperate. Right. I think that all went out the window. And maybe it's the Luka thing, or maybe it's something that they thought they had lined up that fell apart. And now they're like, fuck, we got 3 days. You work in sales. You got a quota to hit. You counting on something to come in. They tell you they're going to go with another vendor, and you're sitting here going, how am I going to get those numbers? That's kind of the energy they're putting out there to me.
Yep. You better start discounting, baby. You better 25%. You better start. You better go to 70. Like, things have got to get done. For one first round pick, it better be 3. We're talking first round swaps until 2040. I don't even know if that's possible.
It's not, to be clear.
It is unbelievable, and you didn't show it, but we're hearing Paul George. Shams just said it. We're hearing Brandon Ingram. That was reported by people.
Which, by the way, we
Zion
know
Williamson.
Steve Kerr hates it. We know Steve hates Ingram.
Ingram
was like 3 months ago. They're like, not a Warriors guy. We wouldn't do that. Hey, buddy, you got 64 hours to get a deal done. Doesn't look that bad now, does he?
Giannis. What are you giving for Giannis? LaMelo Ball. What are we talking about?
Paulo Banchero is my favorite one. I was just
what are we doing? And so, and I know you're always ahead of the game with this. What part of you just kind of feels like it's strategic leak though? And what's the value of doing these type of leaks right now? I'm not so sure that it matters at this point.
I'm not sure it does either. I'm wondering if it's very like they no longer care about being strategic, and now it's just about like the Lakers. I mean, I keep going back to it. It's like the Lakers got Luka literally by just maintaining the right relationship. You could say it's dumb luck. Actually, probably is dumb luck. But a lot of it was like Pelinka had a long-term relationship with this guy who magically runs the Mavs and magically dislikes Luka and magically really likes Anthony Davis. Like, sorry, I don't buy all of it, but you know what I'm saying? All that going on where he's just like, he falls into it. And I could see the Warrior desperation being like, shit, did we check in on everyone? Are we sure? Like,
well, I think in this situation, the guy that you're talking about where the Warriors have pre-existing relationships with and can make a deal happen is probably the guy that they've had in-house before. So we should talk about that soon. After this, Light Years podcast. We are brought to you by PrizePicks. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winning. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win 1,000x your cash. PrizePicks also giving a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes will only need to throw 1 yard to win. If you're correct on at least one stat projection, you can win real cash. Big game, free pick, Patrick Mahomes projection discount. It's live now, so don't miss out on the last football game of the season with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for a lineup. So download the app today. Use code Lightyears, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5. PrizePicks, run your game.
Ooh, rain is coming down. Precursor for a trade? Maybe. I don't know. Guys, be quick. Our guys at BodySpec got you covered. Best deal out there in the fitness land. Get a DEXA scan for only $45 with the code LightYears45. What's a DEXA scan? It's the most accurate way to measure body's composition. Your body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, visceral body fat around your organs, that kind of stuff that pro athletes get access to. The Warriors obviously have, they get Steph to get a DEXA scan. They got to make sure Pods, the future of the franchise, gets a DEXA scan. But, average Joes like Andy and I, that shit's expensive. Usually costs a few $100. With BodySpec, $45. They got mobile vans that will come to you. Best deal on earth, I would say. Go there right now, BodySpec.com, LightYears45. Get that scan. Whew. All right. Let's get into it. Our guy Jake Fisher was the first one, but what's interesting is it came out from like 4 other sources at the same time. So I'm going to give Jake his flowers for getting out there first, but same thing here. So everyone listening to this probably is aware the Warriors. Jimmy Butler says he doesn't want to go to the Warriors. They're still interested in Jimmy. It sounds like it's it sounds like a tango that the Warriors are hoping sets up to be Jimmy to the Phoenix, KD to the Warriors, and Wiggins and expirings to Miami, and they probably have to throw a couple picks to the Suns for initiating the whole thing. That's what the whole thing sounds like, but more or less, he's talking. The Warriors are still very engaged on making both these things happen. Andy, the floor is yours.
Oh man, this is, I believe, if the Warriors pull this off, they do get a little light years action pasted on their helmet for pulling this off because they have been waiting for this moment for the Suns who've fallen apart, and for Jimmy Butler, who, if they play it right, does work out for them. Do they get sheer luck because Bradley Beal is the only person in the world outside of LeBron to get a no trade clause? Like, they get lucky, maybe, but it doesn't matter.
Did the Lakers just get lucky by sheer fact? It doesn't matter.
I think so I think it's as realistic as what everyone I believe it is what I'm trying to say. I believe what everyone is saying. I believe that KD doesn't want to be on the Suns. I believe that the Warriors have been recruiting him for a while now. The question to me is, does KD want to be in Golden State? And why? That is the question to me. Because if he wants to leave, because we're getting reports that the Suns are shopping him, they're a bit of a mess. They're paying an absurd amount, that team, the highest amount that you can shout out to Matt Ishbia, new owner syndrome. Why would he want to go back to Golden State, right? So that's my question. Because I know the Warriors want him, and I know there's a chance that the Phoenix Suns are going to trade him. They're a shit show. Why would he want to come here?
Well, let me ask you this.
Why would he want to go somewhere else?
Where else can he go?
OKC? Boston? Orlando? I don't know. It just,
I mean, there are no good answers here because he's, well, let me put it this way. there's good basketball answers because KD fits on every fucking team. Like, there's no team where like, can't use a 6'11" guy who can score and is smarter than everyone. You know, like obviously he fits every basketball team. It's a question of what he wants to do, right? Like, and does he care about how it looks if he moves to another team? And how many teams are willing to give up a bunch of future assets for a guy who is 36 turning 37? You and I are willing to do it because we recognize this is the end of the Steph Curry window and, you know, the chips fall where they may, right? But like, does OKC want to do that? You know, you could argue they should want to do that because they have more than enough future stuff that they don't need to worry about that. But you know how NBA teams operate. How many teams are really that interested in going all in on a guy at that age? And then secondarily, how does he feel about moving on to his fifth team?
Yeah.
You know, so that's the other part of it where it's just kind of like, I don't know if it mattered. Like, actually, I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter, but like it does in the sense of people consider those things.
It also does go back to he's got 2 years left and he's probably already on the contract and he's probably already told Phoenix that he doesn't want to re-sign. That's
less than 1.5. So
this year,
1 year after, yeah.
This year,
we're already halfway through this year. Yeah, so one and change.
1.4 years left. Yeah, my guess is kind of the same with Luka. It just he's probably told him, "Hey, I'm out. I'm not re-signing with this team," which is classic KD. You know, he can't be somewhere for more than 3 years. He's like a tech worker, right? He can't stay at the same job for more than 2-3 years. He's out of there. So he fits.
AI boom.
He fits in the
AI
vein.
boom. Come back, buddy. There's some open AI. Like, dude, there's a lot of startups out here. It's
open AI. Yeah, KD, come back and run open AI. All right. And maybe I was gonna say something else, but I won't. Look, the fit is obvious. Okay, so let me ask the question back to you then. If you're Kevin Durant, is the Warriors the best option? Is that it? Is that where you're going to go?
I would think the Warriors or the Thunder are the best options because you're going back to places you have history with and it's a little cleaner. You know how the organization runs. Like, right or wrong, you know Steph Curry, you know Steve Kerr, or if you're going to go to OKC, like, you know Sam Presti, you know the organization, you know what they stand for. I would think at this stage of his career, those are much more enticing options than like, oh, you know, Orlando looks interesting, but like I don't actually know that.
Yeah, it's
on
just
that level.
You're right. That's a good point. Yeah, right.
So I think there's that. I mean, undoubtedly the Warriors would have work to do on the roster. So like if I'm taking all my Homer glasses off, like, yeah, Oklahoma City is probably the most attractive option. But we don't hear anything about that. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe, you know, it happens.
Oklahoma City probably doesn't even want him. You know, now that you think about it, it's like Oklahoma City's probably like, why would we ruin this thing? We're just getting Chet coming back. Like, well, we're gonna have to give 3 picks. Forget it. We'll wait till Giannis frees up.
We only have,
you know what I mean?
We only have 45 in the bank account. What are we gonna do for 3?
Well, it's like they wouldn't do Jalen Williams, right? So it's like what is they getting a poo-poo platter? It's like at least the Suns would get back Andrew Wiggins. So it's like, well, I guess in your scenario.
Thinking Arkansas, Jalen.
Yeah, right. I'd rather have Quentin Post. We Vooch at home, baby. So I think this is more realistic than Jimmy Butler. I think this is more realistic. I never understood.
I disagree.
Let's get to it. Let's get to Jimmy. I think
it's better because KD's a better player and like all that sort of stuff. I just think Jimmy's the most realistic option that they end up with. All right, we potted yesterday, and right after we potted, Jimmy's like, I'm not going there, you know. So
right.
We didn't really talk about it. I'm not that fazed by it, and I'll tell you why I'm not that fazed by it. I don't think he has options. I think right now what's going on with Jimmy is Phoenix is the only team who's rolled out the red carpet and been like, if we can get you, we'll give you the huge extension and you could be a star here. And they made him feel good about himself. And I like Jimmy as a player. I understand why other people might not feel as strongly about him as I do. But I think he reminds me a lot personality-wise of Draymond Green, where ultimately he just wants people to show him a certain level of respect. He's like, I'm a damn good player. You guys don't really respect how good I am in general. That's my read on him personality-wise. That's right. You know, Dr. Sam coming here, the psychologist. And I think the Warriors, from everything that's being said and everything I know, you know, that they haven't offered him an extension. They haven't like rolled out the red carpet. They aren't out here going, Jimmy, we need you. We love you. That sort of thing. And that's probably why he's acting this way. So I kind of think we're going to get to Wednesday. I think we're going to get to Wednesday. I think the Suns are going to be unable to get him for Bradley Beal because no one's going to take that Bradley Beal contract with that no trade clause and all the factors there. And then we're going to have a serious conversation. That's really what's going to happen. It's either going to be the Warriors being like, all right, Jimmy, we'll give you the extension. And then he's going to be like, you know what? I always loved the Bay. That was always where I wanted to be. I'm coming here. Or the Suns are going to be like, you know what? All right, we'll move Kevin. We want Jimmy because we need to shake it up. And then the Warriors will get KD. And to me, of those two scenarios, both of which are fantasies I've concocted in my head, the first one is a little more realistic because it just involves less moving parts. And that's the only reason I think it's more realistic. I think ultimately the Warriors, all they have to do is tell Jimmy they're going to take care of him financially, and his opinion on them will change. And we know they don't have offers, and we know that it's Miami has very little leverage, and it's like nothing's a sure thing. I just think it's closer. Whereas the other one, you know, Katie, it's like getting back with your ex. It's not as straightforward as you think.
Pretty great ex. She's pretty bad. You know what I mean? She's pretty hot.
Yes.
Like pretty great ex. Sometimes you gotta do it.
No denying, but there's a lot of moving parts. You know, she's still dating someone right now. You know, just because she's liking Instagram posts does not mean it's that straight. Like there's more moving parts.
Look at us. We're not even.
There's more.
We could be Gen
There's
Z.
more moving parts here. There's more moving parts. That's all I'm saying.
What if I introduce you a third scenario? Because
the one where they get no one and we're upset on Thursday. I'm very aware.
The most realistic scenario. Okay. What if I introduce you a fourth scenario, of which we've talked about previously? Because I hear you on the Jimmy stuff. That one is the easiest path forward. But I do think if KD wants to be a Warrior, that stuff sort of sorts itself out. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like it's just if KD wants to be a Warrior, he's probably going to be a Warrior. Which is why my question is like, does he actually? I don't know. Slater reported they talking, but Paratosh has got it in the chat. Like the fourth scenario here is Zion Williamson, and his name popped up again. Today,
this is the hipster scenario. This is not the real.
This is a realistic. There are people out there that want this scenario more than, like, for example, like a Jimmy Butler scenario. Cause, and how, you know what? Let's read this. Let's read this super chat right now from Carlo. Zion is the best move for me at this point because it's very doable without giving up Wiggins. Would Lakeup be willing to include Kuminga in that deal? If Lakeup doesn't want to include Kuminga in a deal for Zion Williamson, brother, what the fuck are we doing here? But to your point, previously I was really in on the Levine stuff because I was like, maybe you can get him and Wiggins. Turns out I think the package that they were offering had Wiggins in it. So I'm kind of looking back at that. I'm like, maybe not the best move. But in this scenario, if you can find a way to get Zion and keep Wiggins, look, those are two guys that you kind of got to massage and make sure that they're all right physically and mentally and all that stuff. But hey, man, if you can get those two guys on the court and they're hooping, I know it's a.
So I agree with on face value because Zion is he 24 now?
Is he only 24? Feels like he's older than that. That's crazy if he's 24.
Well, I was surprised Luka was
He is
only
24.
25.
He is 20. He's my sister.
Yeah, he's 24.
Wow.
So he is young. He has legitimate superstar talent and production when he's healthy. Like,
correct.
He's also got physical red flags, but then again, he's not available without those red flags. So if he's available, I say I don't even think about it, because I think the thing I feel strongest about with the Warriors is Rick Celebrini can fix everyone. You know,
come on, baby.
Like,
Celebrini fixed the Sharks. Like, he could. What can't he do? What can't he do?
I don't believe the Pelicans are moving with the deadline. That's my take. My take is,
yeah.
They're okay. So who's most under the gun? Miami. Miami's like,
yeah.
Miami can't have Jimmy after Thursday. I know they can say that they can, but I really don't believe that they can. KD is probably number 2, but in theory, Phoenix, even if it's toxic and miserable and like everyone knows he's leaving, they can kick the can to the summer. They don't need to do this now. And then on the Zion front, like, he's 24. He has a long-term contract. He's not healthy right now. Honestly, it's the opposite order of what I want most to happen, but it's order of what I think is most realistic. I think Jimmy's most realistic. Zion's least realistic. Zion would be the one I'd want the most, because he's like nice upside and like all that sort of stuff.
So it would have to be a Luka type scenario where the Pelicans they just don't want this guy on the team. Like, it's not about the play. Like, he's not as good as Luka, but like, we just can't have
Are Mike and Kirk pillow talking David Griffin the way that Pelinka was with Nico Harrison? Did you see that? Like, I'm sorry, I'm just watching these videos and Nico's like, Rob was like, would you ever do this? I'm just like, this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life.
So did you? And I didn't know this, but I read our guy Ethan Sherwood-Strauss's new article on Nico Harrison, and Nico Harrison has no GM background. Like, he was a shoe guy. He basically
he's a Nike guy. Yeah,
but like, no experience, actual basketball NBA machinations. Sam, like, it is not like you and me being a GM, but it's not far off. Like, he just knows these players because he manned them. Like, when he managed them when he was a Nike guy, and that's it. Like, what does he know about the first apron? Like, what does he know about a basketball team? He knows.
He's got staff around him telling you about that. But like, I get your point.
He didn't listen to the fucking staff, it turns out, because he unilaterally negotiated with Rob Pelinka, who swindled him. So anyway, my point is, Jesus Christ, you talk about inept front offices and people that are in charge. I know we talk about that shit all the time, but it's like, my God, Nico Harrison, what a clown. What a clown. It could be worse. It could be worse.
That's how you know it was shocking, by the way. Like, I want to talk about something else, and we still keep going back to it. And it's not even pre-planned. It's just like where my head is. I'm like, Warriors trying to make a move. Like, oh, who's the dumb fuck that they can randomly swing the one to give me? Like, it just doesn't happen like that, you know? Like, it's literally just only the LA falls into that shit. Sorry, Joe. That's not how it's gonna be for you post Steph. Sorry, it's not. It's not how it works in the Bay.
It's not how it works for anyone. It's not how it works. You actually have to draft, and like, you actually have to be good at developing players and all that stuff. It's not gonna happen. So but to my point about like the way that the Pelicans feel about Zion, I mean, like, he has a ridiculous contract where he has it's like a football contract. Like, he has incentives to like stay healthy in the contract. Like, maybe they're sick of him. I don't know. I'm hoping that's hopium. Maybe they just want to get rid of the guy, but
it's there's enough reporting to insinuate that, they're going to get rid of him. Yeah, I guess you're right. In my head, I'm like, they're not doing it right now, but then maybe they are. Maybe they are. Maybe it happens. Maybe you and I are getting on here in 48 hours and talking about Zion. Maybe that's what's happening.
That would be the dream scenario. By the way, the chat doesn't believe I'm a Sharks fan. Come on, man. What do we know about Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau? Those are my guys, dude. Grew up in middle school watching those guys. Come on now. Bay Area sports needs an injection of hope right now, especially the Warriors. They need an injection.
There we go. All right. I'm gonna leave it here, guys. I appreciate everyone. We're gonna be off, but we're going every night until the deadline.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate everyone.